Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats. We're doing applique things that go this time. So this is actually the final one in the series. We've been doing 20 different things that go. As you can see, there's a whole lot of things going along behind me here. So as I said, we're on the last one this time. So I've got everything cut out and ready, just about ready to go. If you have already purchased the pattern and you're downloading, you're going to be printing off something that looks like this. So some of the shapes are overlaid for the tracing, just to give it for space purposes on the paper. So you can see that the number 7 as it's called, they're numbered, is going to be these little grill parts, so you would trace those separately as well as the actual main vehicle. So it's a fire truck with a ladder on top. It's got a bright light here, so I can pop my little light, just tuck it in underneath there. We've got a window, we've got a line here for the door. I've already drawn that in just with a pencil. It's got a little headlamps. These are going to be like little engine grills, so we'll do some straight lines stitching on those to indicate the grill. We've got the wheels with wheel centres. We've got a fire hose. So this is the hose here, and somewhere there should be a little end on the hose. And these are the little supports that are, so they're overlaid over the edge of the hose, because the hose is wrapped around those, so they would sit just slightly in front of the hose so that it appears to be wrapped around there. So we've got the hose there. Now the hose has a little end on it. It's only tiny, but it's kind of essential to have an end on a hose. And then we've got the ladder. So I've already positioned the top piece. The ladder's in two parts, and there's these little tiny bits sticking out that will indicate rungs. So if we position that, so this is, the ladder sits on these two little bits here, and we want to leave just a little tiny gap between, and one sits back because the things are on indicating that they're on a little bit of a slant. So you just want to leave just a little gap between, but make sure that the rungs, that's what these little knobs are. When we stitch it, it's going to look like rungs of the ladder going across there. But if you leave just a little gap, that'll make that more obvious when we've done the stitching, because you can outline that in the stitching. So I'm pretty happy. We've got pretty much everything we want on there for a fire truck, I think, although I'm not a fireman, I could be wrong. And so now I'm going to iron all those in place, and then I'm going to start stitching. So I'm free motion stitching, which means I'm going to use a stabilizer. So I'm using this cotton batting for the stabilizing, which I'm just going to iron it together so that it just sits together better. And so the things I've marked were a line here to indicate a doorway, and the other thing I marked was a little line in here. It's on the pattern, indicating where the hose is kind of wrapped around and coming around a little bit further. So that needs to be done in the stitching so that we can see all that, otherwise it's a little bit like a blob, which we don't want blobs. So I'm going to go ahead. I might do the ladder first because it's a little bit tricky, I guess, so that I can show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come do the one on my left, so that the one that's got the rungs on it, but we can go straight past the rungs as well, so that we indicate the side of the ladder, and then the rungs would come out from that. So I'm just going to start anywhere because I don't think it matters too much on this. Snip my thread out the way. And I'm going to go past the rung, but then I'm going to come back again, and I'm just going to stitch that as if it was a rung going across, and hopefully it will indicate when it's all finished that there are rungs on that ladder. by doing it this way, I've done that side now. I'll do the other half of the ladder, and we can just skip onto those rungs to keep going all the way along. So I'll just start near the first rung there, but I'll come back and round. And then as I get to a rung, I can just kind of keep going, basically. Go around the rung rather than through it, so that it's a line that indicates that there's something coming in its way. So that's the ladder done. Oops, got a thread caught there. So hopefully you can see that that's looking a little bit like a ladder with rungs along there. So now I'm going to continue on doing some of the other applique. I might do this hose next, because that's also probably just a little bit testing for us, for me maybe. So I'm just going to go around the circular bit first. I might go around it again so that I can get onto that bit of the hose, and then onto the circle again, and then onto that hose again there. And then we might have to stop and start, because if you start stitching across things here it might show, and we don't really want a break in our hose, do we? So where do I want to come now? I think I'll come from this line that I've drawn from this port here. And then follow around the edge of the hose there. See, just take your time, it's not so bad. And then we'll just go around this end on the hose, and then we can join back in so that it looks like that's an end coming out. So I think the rest is now fairly straightforward sewing. They were the kind of fiddly bits. We need to do some lines to indicate vent grills on those bits there. Otherwise it's all pretty much straightforward stitching, so I'm just going to continue stitching and I will come back later. So I've been busy going around everything. I've just got to do this door line and then just finish coming around the truck. I've done my lines on my grills. I'm just doing this line as if it's a marking where a door would be, and I'm going to come back up it as well. Gives a little extra definition if it's double. And then coming round, I've got my light on top here, so past it, come out and around, and then just around here, headlamp. Nearly back at the beginning. And that's it. I've done all the stitching now. Let's take that out. So here we have our fire truck. I think probably looking pretty reasonable as fire trucks go. Just give it a quick press. So this is the final applique in this series of things that go. If you like doing applique, there's a whole lot more series coming throughout the year of 2020. So I'll just put this one up here to finish off our wall of things that go. I think that's pretty exciting, whole lot of things that go in there. So that was, as I said, that was it. That was the final one for this series. There are more coming, so if you'd like to have a look on the website gourmetquilter.com at 2020 Tasty Treats, you'll see that there's a different applique series each month for the year. So thank you for watching this whole series, and I'll see you again in some other series.